Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us, that helps the bands and artists like Mr. Taylor from Heffner. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. So, Mr. Taylor, how are you on this wonderful Wednesday?
Hey man, I'm feeling good. Thank you very much for having me on.
Of course. Late night rehearsing last night?
Yeah, we were getting after it. Would have went even later, but it started raining. There's a leak in our in the roof, so we can't be in there when it's raining right now.
The joys of being a indie band, right?
Yeah, one of these days, maybe we'll upgrade to a little bit better spot.
Yeah. So you have been in, or obviously Hefner, the band, you guys started in what, 2020, early 2021?
Yeah, 2020,
Okay.
late 2019, something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, your output has been pretty incredible. I mean, you put out an album in 2021, the self-titled album. You put out Perfect Heaven in 2022, and then Super Bowl 69, correct? My Roman
That's
numerals
right.
are correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I didn't have to Google it. And that came out
Nice.
last year, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So was that a concerted effort to do one a year, or did it just kind of work out that way?
Yeah, I think the effort was just to do as much as possible. Um, I think, looking back, I wouldn't change anything, but yeah, for better or worse, we all just really like being in the studio. We like writing together, and yeah, so that's where the majority of our energy has gone. Probably could have spent some more time playing some shows and touring those records, but what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, how did you, as a band and you personally, how did you manage the pandemic?
Oh shoot.
How much
We
time do we have, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we definitely took some time off. There's a couple more nervous members of the band that maybe were taking the quarantining a little more seriously than the rest of us. I won't name names, but
Sure.
yeah, we took a little bit of time off, but Reagan and I definitely never stopped writing throughout that. And I guess the pandemic is essentially where all the songs for the second and third record came from, was us hanging out and writing and just feeling no pressure to play a show or do anything other than hang out and collect a stimulus check. And yeah.
And you've known him since you were 16, so it was just like kind of like hanging out in high school again, right?
Oh, a lot like it actually. More than you know. We had a good time for sure. I mean, we're lucky for us, obviously. None of us got too sick from it or had anyone real close to us get too sick from it. So we were really lucky in that sense, and lucky to just get the time to hang out as friends. I think we all got really close during that time when you take away the business side of the band and you just get to hang out. Uh, you know, Turns out some good stuff comes from that.
Yeah, I think you saw that with a lot of bands, like the creativity and the music that started coming out late 23 and last, or like, yeah, like actually early last year.
I
It was
agree. Yeah.
really, pretty
Yeah, because
remarkable.
everybody got to slow down and create. Like the cycle got broken up, which I don't think was that bad of a thing.
And I feel like rock and roll has a little bit of a resurgence as well. Obviously, bands like you have, to thank for that.
Couldn't agree more. rock's coming back. Guitars are cool again. Um, I mean, I really think it never left, but I think it's swinging back. I think it's going to swing back that way, you know?
Well, and also too, I think there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of like like yeah, disenchantment with kind of like the government, with like, the hires up. Like there's kind of like this revolution like that kind of seems to be happening like throughout the world, not just in this country. Do you kind of feel that too?
I mean, I can't speak for the world, but I know in Athens, the scene is alive and well, and there's a lot of really good young bands. I mean, I'm 29 now. It feels really weird to sit here and talk about the young bands because that's always what we were. But yeah, there's a lot of good new bands in town, and people are going to shows. It's a good time.
So what is it about Athens that kind of breeds this? Because you're right. I mean, you guys have quite a scene down there.
Well, it used to be cheap rent, but that's not so true anymore. Uh, there's rehearsal spaces here. There's a good art school here. REM, the B-52s, the best Athens band, the Glands. There's just a rich music history here, and a lot of those people that played in some of the bigger bands to kind of make it out of this town still live here, and now their kids are in the scene. And I don't know. There's just always been a really healthy scene of venues and new bands, and it's the supportive scene, and it's the perfect size.
Are you too young for the Black Crows? Did you have a time that you got into the Black Crows, being from Atlanta?
Well, my high school buddy's mom dated one of the Black Crows in high school, so that does put me pretty squarely too young for it. However, uh, I'm kind of ashamed to admit, but it was only a few years ago that I gave it a real listen, and I'm definitely a Black Crows fan.
Yeah,
And Brothers, I love Brothers in a band, so
yeah,
that's a great Atlanta band.
yeah. That their album Amorica is, and Three Snakes and a Charm. They're just classic
Three
albums.
Stakes and a Charm just sounds amazing, man. I love that record and his singing.
It's a unique he has a unique voice. Like as soon as he sings, you know it's a Black Crowes song. Like then that's you can't say that about
Yeah,
other bands.
that's probably one of the last bands too to really pull off the rock and roll excess thing as well, as far as the fighting and the drugs and the partying and the that still goes on to some degree, surely, but seems like maybe the last band to acquire fans because of that and the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like kind of like the Strokes, a little bit like Cage the Elephant early on, because
Totally, totally.
he was a little
Yeah,
crazy.
oh, I know. I've heard some stories through the grapevine that uh, it sounded like a fun group of guys to be around for sure.
Yeah, there are songs of yours where I'm like I hear Cage the Elephant in that. Have you had anyone tell you that before?
No one's ever said that, but I really wore out their first three records in high school and saw them multiple times in high school. So I could imagine that some of it has crept in.
Yeah, they are fantastic live. I saw them open up for Muse, and they almost like were on par with Muse, which Muse is fantastic live. I don't know if you've seen that or if you're a fan.
No, I haven't seen Muse, but I'm sure that would be a good show.
Yeah. So let's go back 5 months ago. When I say that, it's just crazy to me because time just flies, especially when as you get older. But you guys played at South by, and that's kind of how we or I got turned on to you guys. Talk
Sure.
about your experience at South by. Talk about your experience that week, with the city itself. What is it about that city and about that festival or share a story that, you want to.
Oh God, I love Austin. We have the best time there. That week was amazing because we stayed with a buddy, so it was the first time my whole life I've wanted to be in a band that lives together and being 29 now, I probably missed the boat on that. But that week, it felt like we were doing that. We were like just playing a show or two or three every day, and all hanging out afterwards. And it was like a little fever dream. It was so fun. We were going swimming. All the shows were great. We had a blast. We were definitely a good band by the end of the week. Funny how that works. You play a bunch of shows and get better.
Well, I think
Man, we just had the best time. We saw a bunch of amazing bands and we met a bunch of cool people. But more than anything, I think it was just good for morale. We just had a blast as buddies.
was that last show, do you remember, was that a Saturday night show? And did you guys play right before Bright Light Social Hour?
That last show we played was at Parish,
Okay.
and I can't remember who we played. We were I think we were second to last, but
Okay.
I don't know how because we went on at like 1 a.m.
Okay. Now this show, you guys were, I think they went on at like 9 and you guys were at like 7:30 or something like that. It was
Oh,
right on
okay, yeah.
6th Street.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I forget
Whatever.
where that was at, but
Yeah,
we played that one. We had to load right out and go get to that next one.
that's correct. Yes, that's correct. Because that's the night I met Jesse. Uh, Ross, what's his last name?
That's right,
Rossoff, right? Yeah, yeah.
Jesse Rossoff. Yeah.
Talk about your relationship with him. That's a good segue.
Oh well, he was our booking agent.
Oh
We
no.
No, no, it's no biggie at all, dude. We parted ways. He's had a couple artists get really big on his roster, so he's kind of just focusing on them. And he had a kid recently, so he's just made an adult decision to thin out his roster. And to be totally fair to him, he wanted us to get out and play more shows. And uh, being six of us with an average age of 30, we want to play shows, but it's got to make sense too. That's a very delicate balance. But that our goal for next year is to get out there and play a whole bunch of shows. So we're talking to some more agents and looking for some guys that are more locally based, so we can just hit it hard regionally.
Sure. Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, it was great work. It was great working with Jesse. He did a great job at South by for us. And that's Jesse Rossoff with Mint Talent in LA. And Jesse was an Athens guy and Atlanta guy for a long time. So he had just heard about us that way.
yeah. And talk about your relationship with Drew.
Drew Beskin, total band dad. He's our manager. I've known Drew essentially since I moved to Athens 10 years ago. And went and saw his bands play. He always came and saw my bands play, and yeah, he's just made a really natural progression into managing bands. And he kind of is he serves as the business minded motivator for us, as well as kind of helps us with some day to day just scheduling some studio time, and he's advancing our shows for us and stuff like that. So he wears a lot of hats for us, and um, does it all for next to nothing. So we owe Drew a lot for where we're at right now, and honestly, just keeping us together.
Yeah, I was so glad when him and I got to connect, and really, obviously, it helped me, reach out to you guys. But his band and like him, I mean, his music is really good. Like he has some really good. He's a great songwriter.
Oh, he is by far the biggest fan of music I think I've ever met. I mean, he just has an encyclopedic knowledge. He knows every song, every artist and their story and where they're from. And yeah, he's writing all the time. And if not creatively, he's somehow involved in almost everything going on in Athens, and always in a positive way. He's an encouraging guy to be around. And I'm glad he's on our team, so to speak.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of like the voice of Athens almost a little bit with regards to the music scene. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say he's probably been elected spokesperson. for
Sure.
the time being, for sure.
Yeah. So getting back to South by, your favorite meal?
Oh man, well we overpaid for it, but we played at the barbecue joint downtown. It's modern. We played upstairs. It was Athens and Austin night,
Cooper's.
and is that what it's called?
Yeah, on Second Street in Congress or
It's
like on
up.
Congress?
Yes, upstairs was the venue.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
I had some mean brisket there,
But
and
you paid
yeah,
for
I'm.
it.
Oh, dude, it was exorbitant.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, we were downtown, and I think we had made a little bit of money at the show previously, so there it went.
There it went. Classic band member line, right?
Yeah, there, dude, it goes fast. Man, it goes fast.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess obviously outside of finances, what is the biggest struggle like, being a band these days?
Oh, this is a tough question because I don't ever want to sound. I would never complain because
No, no, no.
we're really, none of us are crazy religious, but we all would be quick to say that we're blessed to have found each other and be able to write music together, make music together, and play it together. And yeah, I think if anything's holding us back, it's just time and money, which is a tale as old as time, right?
Sure.
But we were lucky this spring. We got some frat gigs, and we got the bills paid, which is good. And we're making this next record all by ourselves, recording it ourselves and mixing it ourselves and everything. So we're just paying for studio time, and yeah, we're getting smarter. There's ways around the time and money thing. But yeah, I'm excited to we're gonna get a little bit smarter here and shop around and see if there's anybody that wants to team up with us and help us get out and play some more shows. Essentially,
Sure. So
all the guys are working.
from a songwriting standpoint, what do you think you've learned or gained the most or since you started with the first record?
Oh, that's a great question. The thing we've been thinking about the most is trying to make something cohesive because I mean we've always prided ourselves. The first three records, the sound is really all over the place, and I don't think in a detrimental way. But we're
Agreed.
challenging ourselves this time around to make something really cohesive and take a little more time in doing it and write a bunch of songs and record a bunch of songs, and then we're going to try to whittle it down to something that makes sense to listen to front to back because we're just such big fans of albums. We all are, and as antiquated as it may seem, we want to make something that's fun to listen to for 40 minutes, give or take, front to back.
Yeah, I mean, that has to then frustrate the hell out of you because that's not how the market is now, right? I mean, it's all singles. It's not, like they want you to release something every 3 months, like a full album. I guess the line is if you only get one chance to release something, and if you release song by song, they're like big events instead of when you release the album, it's a big event, but there goes your 11 or 12 songs.
Yeah,
What do you feel when
yeah.
what do you mean? Like when I say that, what does that mean to you?
I think that's something I used to let frustrate me a lot, but over the past couple of years, we've put the emphasis back on making this band fun and creative, and I think the way that our most of our personalities are, we're always going to work hard at it. But I think we got really obsessed with what other people were doing and posting on TikTok and this and that, and as important as I know those things are, we've just stopped doing anything that's not making this a joyous enterprise, which might sound a little corny or whatever, but that's kind of at this age, like that's what's most important. I think all of us are realizing what's good about this band in our lives is that it's a source of creative fulfillment for us, and when we get to go out on the road, it's a good excuse to just hang out really hard for a week or whatever. You know, so we don't let it frustrate us anymore. I think if you do your own thing, march to the beat of your own drum long enough, and you're doing it well enough, there's a path to some sort of success there, even if it's not what you think it might look like. We're just focusing on writing good songs more than anything, writing good songs and recording them ourselves right now, and that's been a blast. I think if you ask any of us, we would say the last 6 months in this band has been the best time to be in this band for sure.
I mean, like, what do you feel like it was the pandemic and that time at South by that kind of cemented that or allowed that to happen, or was it more than that?
No, I think yeah, South by we toured for a week before South by, so we were gone almost 3 weeks, and that's the longest we've done in the van. And we made it back in one piece, and nobody yelled at anybody. And I don't know, we just came back feeling super close and excited to sort of get after it. And yeah, I think South by was definitely, there was a little buzz I could feel at South by around us as well. By the end of the week, people were coming to see us 2 and 3 times that week. So yeah, it was encouraging, I guess, and it felt good that, all the time we've been spending on this the last 5 years or so, things are starting to come back to us, and even in little ways, that feels good.
So let's talk about the van. You have a name for him, and what's the story behind Vance?
Yeah, him. Yeah, his name's Vance. Oh man, I found it on actually a girl that I was dating at the time found it on Craigslist up in Tennessee, and I drove out to Lobelville, which is halfway to Memphis from Nashville, and uh, in Amish country, it was part of the van was owned by a para Amish cult called something like Brothers and People for Christ or something like that, but they're kind of Amish. They definitely looked Amish to me, and it was their one vehicle that they shared amongst like 100 people that they used for medical emergencies, essentially. But the Amish take really good care of things, it turns out, and that guy had done a lot of work on it, and it's been great for us. I'd been saving up for a while, and yeah, Vance, it's a little bit rough around the edges, but under the hood, it's been knock on wood, it's been good to us.
That's all you can ask for, right?
And it was a really wild day going out there to get it. His little Amish kids were like, it was like the hills have eyes. There was a million of them, and they were out behind the trees. Their little eyes were peering at me.
It's funny
Kind of
because
bizarre. I asked him. I said, "Is it all right if my rock band uses this?" And he says, "As soon as I sell it to you, what you do with it is up to you."
that's a good line. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
he was a nice guy. It was a harrowing journey to get the title. We were driving through like creek beds and stuff. It's a long story, but we got it. I got it home.
So, two things about that. So, I live in a town that has a very big Amish population. I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
I'm very familiar with the Amish, and yes, they have multi-passenger vans because they can't drive. So
Exactly.
they hire drivers, and like those drivers make a lot of money, and it's all cash.
Oh man, that sounds like a good job.
Yeah. But when you said Craigslist ad in Tennessee, I'm like, this sounds like the start of a horror movie.
Could have been worse. Could have
Could have
been
been.
worse, man. But his name was Herman. He was nothing but polite, and yeah, that was a wild day. I mean, it was like 10 miles of dirt roads before you got out to his house, and it was literally people riding the plow behind horses and stuff. It was it was bizarre. It's like going back in time, and then this van was just under a tarp.
How many miles did it have on it?
80,000, and it's a 99. Yeah, I know. You gotta love that.
And it's all white, or what color is it?
Yeah, it's all white. It's got a really beautiful, like royal blue cloth interior, and the
Nice.
dash is blue. And I'm just immaculate on the inside. The stereo works. The cassette player works. He had the antenna taken off of it though, because they don't listen to music.
Satellite radio.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was good timing though. I hit a deer in my car on my way up to Nashville, so I literally needed to buy something. I it put the pressure on me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this van this week so I can just drive it back down.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about the name of the band. It's obviously two of the band members' last name. Why did we choose their last name as the band?
Yeah, Lars and Will are twins.
Yeah.
Lars and Will Heffner from Jackson, Mississippi. Uh oh man. Well, they just Lars and Will when they moved to town, um, they just started sort of soliciting themselves as a package deal to join bands, and they were really good. Will plays drums and Lars plays guitar, and they're just really good. And so we wanted them in our band, and we'd been hanging out with them. There's a bar in Athens called the Max Canada that's not around anymore, but that was like the epicenter of the scene. That's where you hung out. And we started closing down the Max Canada with them and finally asked them if they wanted to start this band with us. And then when we got around to naming the van, it's tough because they're goofy guys. So if you met them, you would probably understand right away why the band's called Heffner, because they're goobers and we love them. And we also thought it was funny that, like, they're not, neither of them are principal songwriters, but I don't know. It's to be honest with you, it's taken on more meaning than I ever thought. It was sort of something to poke fun at them a little bit at first, but it's taken on more meaning than that. As far as I really feel like Hefner wouldn't be Hefner at all without the six of us that are in it
Yeah.
right now. No matter who wrote what song or who played what or whatever, it's like it really is. It feels like we're at full strength with the six of us, and I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, you're like a starting five in basketball with your six man coming
Exa-
off the bench, right?
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So, so you said you are in the midst of working on this new album now. Is it going to be 11 songs like the previous three?
We didn't even think about the previous three having 11 on them. I think that's just when we decided we went either when we ran out of money or decided that it was time to call it and get it mixed and put it out. Um, I think we're going to end up recording over 15 for this one and whittling it down as much as we see fit, I guess.
Okay.
I kind of like the idea of it being a little bit slimmer, actually 9 or 10, but you never know. It is a democracy after all. So I'm only 17.5% of the vote.
So, if the name was not Hefner, did you have a band name in mind that you would have liked to been called?
Putty,
Nice.
which doesn't mean anything other than it kind of makes me giggle, but Hefner's better.
Yeah. Putty with two D's.
No, Putty, Putty, like silly
Ah,
putty.
okay, gotcha. So, let's talk about the Perfect Heaven album cover, and then I want to get into some of the songs as well. We decide to do a, I guess the best way to describe it, a pile, correct, of
Yeah.
trash bags. It looks like just on someone's lawn. Is that correct? Like, what was the inspiration behind doing this as an album cover?
Oh yeah, we thought Perfect Heaven was kind of a funny thing to name the record because, well, it rolls off the tongue pretty easy, but we thought that at that point in our lives, we thought it was pretty funny because it was juxtaposed to the way we were living for sure. We certainly weren't living a perfect heaven, any of us. Um, I, the symbolism for me is that like we're on a pile of trash in Reagan's backyard, and there's all of us in the photo because our perfect heaven is like something that we already have because we're hanging out with each other, and it's also something that we're it's aspirational as well, something that we're working towards.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about a song on, well, one of your songs. It's called Grin, and I want to know the story behind it because you guys sample a band called Wheatus and their song
Mm-hmm.
Teenage Dirtbag. What's going
Yeah,
on with that,
great
Taylor?
song.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great Wheatus song, and probably the only Wheatus song that I could speak to. But
Yep.
yeah, Grin, Reagan and I just thought it would be fun to try to. I had that little guitar riff, and we just thought it would be fun to try to write something that would have belonged on our iPod, like in middle school or whatever. So something sort of emo and big sounding and rocking. And yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I remember writing that one on the. I wrote the verses on the back deck of the house I was living on, and then I think Reagan and I had gotten off work. We worked at the same bar and restaurant. We had gotten off work one night and went over to the rehearsal space around like midnight, and he sang that chorus sort of as a joke because it's like right at the top of his range, and he's having to yell it. And that was the catalyst, I guess. I was like, okay, it's actually kind of making sense. I mean, it doesn't sound like anything we would ever sit down and write, but something about it's working.
So do you write most of your songs music first and then lyrics or lyrics and then music?
Traditionally, it's been a song has been either Reagan or I writing music and lyric at the same time,
Okay.
and then showing it to one another, or him and I sitting down together and just writing music and lyric at the same time, and then showing the band. But this record we're working on right now has been kind of the opposite. It's been like the whole band. Reagan and I are coming in with the seed of an idea, or not even really, maybe just like kind of a guitar riff, and then the whole band is just playing it over and over in the rehearsal space until we kind of find something that feels good to play over and over. And then Reagan's been doing a lot of sort of top lining, just writing on top of the band while we're jamming, kind of just like right there in real time, which has been which I've enjoyed. That's been my favorite way we've ever done it. And then there will definitely be a song or two on there that are just Reagan or I compositions, that's just written,
Sure.
either me or him, acoustic guitar at the house, more traditional sad guy on the porch with guitar style.
So for people who aren't really familiar with the business in general, like when you guys rehearse, do you have more of a schedule when you're rehearsing or do you have more of a schedule when you're recording?
Oh, recording for sure. I
Okay.
mean, rehearsal is a very loose term, and for us, it means it's probably about 50% complete dicking around and trying to make each other laugh. And then the other 50% is like making sure we still remember how to play some older songs as well as like working on some newer songs. Rehearsal is definitely like yeah, it's loose. Recording is like we're paying for studio time, so we're definitely in there. Our mindset is to like get it right, but get it done.
Gotcha. Okay. So you are also in another band. You are in a band called Coin. And you've been with them for about what, 10 months now as a touring musician. You're the bass player for them. They're a
That's right.
three-piece, and now they are a four-piece with you, or do they have other musicians as well?
Yeah, there's just four of us on stage.
So what is that dynamic like with that band compared to Hefner?
As far as the friendship goes, it's very similar. I mean, as far as the sort of level and size of venue and the day to day goes, it's very different. Um, but I'm really fortunate to have both. I mean, Hefner is, how do you say? Hefner is like the feels like the travel baseball team, and there's a lot of goofing off, and hiding gold bond in somebody's jock strap, and coin is definitely more like a major league game, as in there's a lot of people behind the scenes, as well as there's some there's some more serious warming up that goes on, and an air of professionalism through the whole thing for sure.
And was that a quick adjustment for you, or did that take you some time once you realized that, like that was the situation?
I mean, I definitely came in trying to be as professional as possible because, I mean, they were my friends already, so it's not like I'd never met them. But um, I viewed it more than anything as a way to play music more often and play play live, which I have a blast doing, as well as I had gotten about an ass full of bartending by that point. So that was my way out. So I just yeah, I came in trying to make the most of an opportunity for sure.
Why do you think so many musicians are from the restaurant and bar industry?
Well, I got a botany degree and I tried to farm for 2 years uh, after college, and I'll say more than anything, working like 7 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. is not very conducive to having a band practice that evening or trying to sit down and be creative when you're exhausted. As well as it's hard to explain to the farm that I can't be here on Friday because I have a show in Savannah or something like that. You know, the restaurant industry is the service industry is your boss generally understands that that's how you're paying your bills, and you're going to come to work and do a good job, but it's not exactly you're not thinking about it as a
Career.
full-time
Yeah,
position with upward mobility.
right. You're just serving Bud Light.
Yeah, you know, if you're lucky.
So let's like I want to hear about the 40 Watt Club because Jack White just played there. So many iconic bands have played there. Obviously, you've played there, or you've just been
Oh yeah, we've played there several times.
so talk to the audience about that experience at 40 Watt.
Oh, just a historic Athens club. It's always been around like 300 to 500 cap. It's moved twice, I think, but it's always been downtown in Athens. And yeah, it's just
Nope, we lost Taylor. Nope, we'll maintain. Hold on a second. So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, wow, what an interview so far. We've covered a lot. I want to still talk to him about a couple songs. We've got a couple more questions left before we wrap up the interview with Taylor Cotton from Heffner. Again, don't forget to like and follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel and our social media pages. That helps us, that helps the bands and artists like Taylor. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters, RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. As we wait for Taylor to rejoin us, internet is a pain in the butt. You're good, man.
That's on me.
No worries. We
Phone
paused.
died.
We paused like a bear. He's having a show.
That's on me.
No worries, man. Like we said earlier, man, technology, it's great when it works.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
here, you
finish
can
your
ask me
story.
about the 40 watt.
Yes, go ahead.
No, yeah, so being as the 40 watts the only sort of 400 cap venue in this town, we've just gotten so many sort of legendary tours have came through the 40 watt. Like the Strokes played with Kings of Leon in 2003, I think it was 2002, something like that. Nirvana's played the 40 watt. Reagan and I saw Interpol at the 40 watt. So it also gets all these really cool undersells. Like you said, Jack White was there last week. And yeah, it's it kind of is a badge of honor to play that and sell the 40 watt well as a local band for sure. So it's just it's a storied venue, and everybody in the scene has friends that work there, and it's just one of those places it's in that little part of town where we all hang out.
Yeah, yeah. So, you had mentioned some earlier about local bands in Athens that were kind of blowing up that were younger. Any shout outs or any bands that in particular that you know of that you would like to kind of give a little love to?
Mm. Well, we have some close friends that play in a band called Hotel Fiction, which is doing really well. And they're a really fun show to see. Um, Tommy, who plays in our band, has his band's called Well Kept, and is always an amazing show, and has turned into a little bit more of a recording project, but love his songs, obviously. And McKendrick just put out a solo record last year.
Yeah, nice.
Um, yeah, it's McKendrick Bearden that is really amazing that we're all kind of wearing out behind his back a little bit. I'm not going to tell him that it's amazing, but it's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
gotta
there's
keep
just
the
a
peace, right?
exactly. Uh, I want it to go to his head or anything.
Yeah, yeah. So,
No, yeah, there's a lot going on in town right now. That's I think the scene is healthy.
yeah, that's good. That's good. So let's talk about you touched a little bit on the town itself, but yeah, what is it about Athens that makes it so special? Like, what is it about the town itself? I know you said that it's gotten more expensive, but outside of that, like what makes the town so great?
Oh well, it's a college town, but then it also has this really rich music history. There is really good food here, and there are some great bars sort of outside of that college bar scene. Um, like I said, there are so many rehearsal spaces and rooms for rent for your band to practice in. There's an infrastructure here for starting a band and maintaining a band. And the service industry is huge because we're in a college town. So there's just this real infrastructure for you to exist here, and have the majority of your time be making music with your friends that it's just a lot harder to do in a bigger city.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like Austin, but on a much smaller scale. Is that fair to say?
Athens is in so many ways like a smaller Austin. It really is.
So I I would be remiss to not talk to you about the commentary tracks on the Perfect Heaven album. I listened to them all, laughed for a lot of it,
Good.
wondered on some of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What, what was the inspiration on doing that?
Oh man, I just love. I'm the biggest fan of of rock docs and bands that release any amount of like YouTube, the recording of or the making of a record. Um, I'm huge on the forums. I'm trying to find out who was in the room when things were getting recorded and what mics were being used, or what a song is about. I'm digging through interviews, or I'm just a huge like I'm very curious. Like when I get into something, I really get all the way into it, and I get obsessive, and I have to know everything about it. So I just thought it would be fun, like to at least, if nobody heard it except for our friends, it would be a win for me just to sort of give everyone. I do feel like we did a good job of capturing sort of what it was like to be in the room with us, recording those songs, because we take it seriously from an art standpoint, but as far as like spending time together and stuff, we're definitely making sure that while we're making it, we're still having a lot of fun. There's a lot of goofing off to be had as well.
It sounds like you have a little bit of Drew in you with that, with the researching and stuff about music. Is that
Oh yeah, definitely. Drew and I, we're constantly sending each other, like you absolutely have to listen to this record, or you have to read this old article about how this record got made or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's cool to have a relationship with someone like that. That's, as passionate about it as you are, right?
Oh yeah, he's turned me onto a lot of things.
So the 30-minute tweezer. You said that this was about Tommy's girlfriend?
The old girlfriend of Reagan's.
Oh, okay, okay. So give us the story
Yeah.
behind this because I'm a Fish fan. I'm going to go see them Sunday for Mondegreen.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. And so, yeah, I want to hear this story. I'm sure the audience does too.
So 30-minute tweezer. 30-minute tweezer is just a love song. I think there's maybe a little bit of lyrically, I think there's maybe a little bit of like maybe I'm not deserving of uh this person's love or something along those lines. You'd have to dig into that with Reagan, but it's essentially a love song, and we just thought it was called something a little bit more crass before it was 30-minute tweezer. That was a nickname that Reagan and this girlfriend had for each other that made us all laugh. But we decided we would go with a 30-minute tweezer because she's a big Fish fan, and it just always felt like kind of a silly song. It's like it has a big, like almost early Coldplay sound to it.
Hmm.
So it's not a song that we ever took like very seriously. And we just kind of let that song go all the way into that like big bombastic like rock song world, which was really fun and made it really fun to play. But yeah, it's called 30-minute tweezer because she's a Fish fan, and we thought she might have a giggle about that.
She's probably going this weekend, probably, right?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I bet she's at the Fish gig.
Yeah. So any shows that you got to see recently or that you have upcoming?
Oh man, we saw Fontaine's DC open for Arctic Monkeys a few months ago. Most of the band went, and they definitely stole the show. I'm gonna go see them in Philly in October on this coin run. We have a day off, and that show was amazing. They're just so effortlessly cool, and they were loud. You could tell they were loud on stage, and yeah, there's just certain bravado to it that I really appreciated. Um, we
What
saw
what did you think of Arctic Monkeys?
they were great. I mean, that's how I learned to play bass, was their first two records, so I'll always have a special little nostalgic spot in my heart for them. And um, I really liked Tranquility Hotel Bass and Casino. I think that's what that record was called. I really liked that like film noir crooner record. Um, they were good. I mean, live, there's a lot of them on stage, and they weren't loud enough for me, but that's just me. They were great. I mean, they were great. It was a fun show. The production looked amazing, obviously, but I will say Fontaine's DC definitely stole the show. I felt more kindred to them for sure.
Yeah, I've only seen Arctic Monkeys once, and it was at a festival appearance, but I was not impressed. I was, and it was after the album, Do You Want to Know, that album,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
2 albums ago. But the car. Their last album is fantastic. It's so good.
I like it too. That Mirror Ball song is amazing.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's like an instant classic.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude is a lyricist, I will say.
And you're right. He croons. He doesn't sing. He croons.
No, he's crooning, but he's English, so he gets away with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Well, Taylor, I appreciate you doing this. Much luck to you, the band. You have a very busy fall and spring with Coin. You said almost what, 45 dates between the two tours?
Yeah, yeah, I think there's almost 50 dates there.
That's we'll talk to you in 6 months. We'll see how you look.
Oh man, it's on a bus, so don't worry about me too much.
Okay. You'll have a massage once a week. You're good, right?
Hey, you never know. We play tennis on that tour. That's what we do.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, oh yeah, there you go. So,
Yeah.
like, are you a gamer? Are you a Netflix guy? Like, what do you like to do when you're not doing music? Like, you a traveler? What do you like to do? Play poker?
I am traveling a lot. I travel and see friends for sure. I'm at the gym to be honest with you, and I play tennis and pickleball is completely my quarter life crisis. I play one of the two every day.
Wow. Okay.
Just obsessed. Love it.
And who's your favorite tennis player?
Tommy Paul.
Tommy Paul. All right.
Tommy Paul.
Cool. Well, brother, I appreciate it, man. Again, thank you so much for doing this. I mean, literally, I think you guys are the last band from South by that I'm finally getting to interview. So I appreciate you doing this, man.
Oh man, well thank you for reaching out. Let's do another one. I'm always down to gab.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend. And yeah, best of luck, brother, on the road.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Guys, like always, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab podcast.